Greetings, first year seminar Thrive students. I am Colleen Foy with the ZSR Library. I'll be sharing some valuable library info with you today. I will be including any links shared in this video's description as well as a Google Doc so you may access all of this information in that format if that is more beneficial to you. Here are the main topics I'll cover over the course of this video. First, I'll share an introduction so you know a little more about me. I'll talk about why library support and just overall information literacy matters both now and later in your lives and careers. I'll share a database demonstration to get you started in PsycInfo and then wrap up with information on moving forward. This is me. If you see me in the library on campus, please introduce yourself. I am the Research and Instruction Librarian for Biology, Chemistry, and Exercise Science. I got my undergrad in Exercise Science at Auburn and worked initially in corporate wellness and weight management education. Went on to get my master's at UNCG and have worked in R&D and academic libraries since. I do have research and publication experience. I have one article that's made it and working on another one. And I will be working with WAKE's HELPS program this and next semester, which is a lifestyle and weight management program led by the Health and Exercise Science Department. So first I want to make sure you understand why this information is useful, why it matters, why your professor invited me to create this video for you, why overall library support matters. First, librarians have minimum master's level education. They typically have subject-specific knowledge. For instance, I have a science background. My colleagues at CSR have business, history, religion backgrounds, for instance, and they support those departments. We have advanced searching skills, which you'll get a feel for when we jump over into PsycInfo. We have our own research experience and interests, and have typically been through the research and publications process, so we can help you with yours as well. And logistically, we have expanded hours of availability for you. The library is open 7 days a week. Research librarians are in the library 5 to 7 days out of the week, so we're available when you need us. And our support is transferable in two ways. This information can be used for this and future courses here at Wake, but this is also consistent support with other libraries. ZSR is the best there is, of course, but as you move to another institution for your master's or once you get out into the professional world, be sure to have a library, if not a librarian, in your back pocket to support you in all your endeavors. Here are a quick few comments on why this is such a big deal in this age of information overabundance. One, information is everywhere. As academic scholars and responsible information consumers, you need to know the difference between and how to perform a Google search versus a scholarly database search. This will help you formulate critical information analysis behaviors. Second, you should prepare to be a lifelong learner now. Even if you haven't read any scholarly articles on it, I'm sure you've seen information connecting brain exercises, reading puzzles classes, and a reduced incidence of dementia. This will not only help support your development as a student, but also a professional, a parent, a community member, the many roles you will play over the years. Lastly, this is such a big deal that ZSR has credit-bearing information literacy courses. Please understand how lucky you are to be a part of an institution that values this information and offer courses like these. Lib 100, Lib 290 are 1.5 credit courses. Please consider these if you need an extra credit and a half. They're not necessarily easy credits, but they will support you moving forward. Okay, so let's spend the rest of our time digging in and understanding how to find the information you're looking for. First, just so you understand what a database is, understand that a database is a collection of materials or a large repository of information that is designed to help you find specific data. Here is a simplistic view of the hierarchy of database structure. Databases usually include multiple journal titles, and within those journal titles you'll find many different articles, sometimes many different types of articles, typically scholarly and peer peer-reviewed articles. A peer-reviewed source is one that goes through a rigorous review process before being published. Your professor has published a number of pieces of literature. Before they were published, a group of their peers, folks with similar education and experience from either the same or different disciplines, raked over that work with a fine-tooth comb, ensuring that the methods were ethically executed, authors didn't plagiarize, and that the work would be beneficial to the industry. This is a vastly different process that most information found through a typical Google search differs from. So what your task is as a student is to practice identifying, evaluating, and using information in databases as a part of the literature review process, which will inform both your research as a student and your research and practice as a professional, whether you become a chemist or a therapist or even a market analyst. Either way, this is a crucial skill to have. So we just talked about how the literature review will inform both research and practice, regardless of discipline, but it will also help you start your research. Determining your topic and developing your research questions are in themselves research. You may be super interested in what you think is a totally new topic, but once you start looking at the literature, you see that it's been done already, and perhaps you need to dig deeper and find a more specific topic. The literature will help answer these questions of what we do know and identify gaps out there relative to what we still don't know. So you can always come back and look at this process more closely, but I just wanted you to see which portion of the literature review process we'll be embarking on today. We'll be using keywords up at the top, keywords in an appropriate database, and specific search tools within that database. Of course, as you see, this is a cycle, so undoubtedly you'll have to revisit and repeat, but this is the portion we'll be working on today. As mentioned earlier, we'll be using PsycInfo, a renowned source for behavioral research in psychology fields, mainly because of coverage, millions of records, over 2,000 peer-reviewed journal titles, and the American Psychological Association provides this resource to us. The APA sets standards when it comes to publications and information access with topics trending in the fields of psychology. So I'm going to hop onto the ZSR website and show you how to get into PsycInfo. Here's my research question. I'm sure yours will be more complex, but for this demonstration, I'm asking, how does physical activity support cognitive development in adults over 65? I think we're all used to using natural language, using Google. For instance, we could literally type this question in the Google search engine word for word, and Google will extract that information to produce our results. However, 99% of them will not be scholarly, and the top few results will appear most likely because some vendor or institution has paid for them to appear there. So what we need to do is choose some keywords out of our question. I have my choices highlighted here. Scholarly databases are developed and managed using keywords or subject headings to ensure users can find what they're looking for based on how authors of this material have suggested and determined the best ways to locate their work. So let's hop into that PsycInfo database so we can start finding some articles on our topic. Going to the ZSR Library website, there's a couple of different ways to get to our databases. There's a drop-down menu here. You can choose databases here. There's a tab here, and also right down here at the bottom. So whichever one you choose will work. In the search field, type PsycInfo and hit search. And it should be the first one right here on the top. And let's click into that database. So this is an EBSCO database, and all EBSCO databases look, feel, and perform the same way, which is good because you'll get familiar with this one. When you see some database similar to this one, you won't have to learn a different database. So let's start typing our search topic. So our question was, how does physical activity support cognitive development in adults over 65? So let's start with physical activity. Let's just start typing physical activity, and you'll see one reason I like EBSCO databases is because they have some predictive text here that are linked to certain keywords and subject headings that are indexed in this database. And you see here, this kind of helps with determining what other words kind of mean the same thing that we're thinking of relative to our keyword. So physical activity or exercise or fitness or physical exercise, all of those will work in our search. So what this search will do is look for articles that have the terms physical activity or exercise or fitness. So it'll expand our search to include all of those so we don't miss any. And the next term was cognitive development. So let's start typing that in, and here we go. We have that right here. And we also wanted to look at adults over 65. So the term for aging adults has changed over the years. But I'm just started typing in aging, and so you see here this is a great option, aging or elderly or older adults, seniors, geriatrics. So I'm going to choose that. So what this did was it built our search string by simply typing in a few keystrokes, which is great. So let's search and see what we got. So we have 189 results, which actually isn't too bad. But let's narrow this down a little bit. So if you look off to the left side here, there's a chance to limit to either full text, articles with references available, which most of them in scholarly databases will be available anyway, or open access. I'm going to push you to not check any of these boxes over here, because if you did, it might limit the search and exclude some linked articles that we have access to as Wake Forest University students and faculty. So leave those empty or unchecked. And here you can narrow down the date. So in sciences, I like to narrow my results down to articles published in the last 5 to 10 years. Of course, if you're looking for work that was done in the 1980s, you can of course narrow it down that way as well. And there's a chance to look at different source types, which I'll talk about some source types right before we finish the session here. But academic journals, books, dissertations, you can narrow it down or leave it open, as well as a number of other options here to narrow down. And I know we put in aging and older adults, so we could narrow it down further here, but I'm going to leave this open for now. And of course, if you got more specific and wanted to look at different specific methodologies in your research or different types of tests and measures, you could certainly do that here. For this search, I'm going to keep these unchecked just so we see what we have. So right now we have about 109 articles, which is still, I know, seems like a lot, but you won't be reading 109 articles. At this point, you're going to look at titles, and then further at abstracts. So a title really should tell you primarily what the article is about. That's what scholarly journals expect authors to do. They're usually pretty picky about what the title that is chosen for scholarly articles. So in looking down this list, you'll see that a number of articles do fit into our research question. Benefits of physical activity and fitness for long-term cognitive and motor development, brain and behavior, and effects of exercise on cognitive function of older patients. This one's specific to type 2 diabetes, integrated social and neurocognitive model of physical activity behavior in older adults. This one's also specific to individuals with a diagnosed disease. Physical exercise and cognitive function across the lifespan. Let's just click into one of these articles and take a look. So when you do see a title that you like, you can click into this item record, and you have a chance to see the authors, the specific journal title, when it was published, this was in 2018, and the abstract. So you can see here this was specific original research. This is a primary source because they talk about the type of research that is performed or the research method that was used, and it shows some results in the abstract. So if you are interested in this article, you would click any full text links off to the left side, and there might be a few of them listed, but we just have one here. So when you click on that link, that will take you right to the full article where you can print the full PDF, save it, send it, however you'd like. Just a few more things off to the right side of when you're in the item record. Of course, it shows you how you can upload the full text or download the full text, but you can also go over here to the right side, upload to your Google Drive, add to a folder if you create an account in this database, which if you'll use it quite a bit, it's worth doing. However, your Google Drive will serve the same purpose. I'll talk about Zotero Citation Manager as well right before we finish up, so that's another option. You can cite this article. Once you're in the citation tool, you can scroll down to find the format that you're wanting to use, and you can copy and paste that information into your document. Now, back on your results page, let's say in your review of titles and abstracts that you decide you want to expand your search to not just cognitive development, but also maybe cardiovascular health or emotional status, anxiety, depression, etc. We can simply remove an item and rerun the search. Of course, this has exponentially expanded our search because it's a very broad topic now, or brings in a number of topics relative to these key terms or keywords. But just to give you an example, this is how you can expand your search if you're not finding enough results through your initial search. And the good news is if you decide you want to go back, like you want to go back to that original search because this expanded it too much, you can click on, as long as you're in the same session, you can click on your search history, and that will show you the last number of searches. So you can go back to where we were earlier and you can see what the results were from a previous search. On a few quick and final notes, we saw in PsycInfo many different sources. Here's a breakdown of different types that are available. A robust research includes some of each type of source, but your professor may specifically ask for one type depending on the assignment. Primary sources are documents, first-hand accounts, or other sources that constitute direct evidence of an object of study, including original research articles, interviews, and newspaper articles where the journalist reporting was in person or was the first to report on an event. Secondary sources are those that provide information about an object of study but does not constitute direct first-hand evidence. Any document that reports on and uses primary sources as references, like documentaries, review articles, are secondary. You can see that dictionaries, encyclopedias are often considered tertiary sources, as those compile and list primary and secondary sources and provide background information. And just a reminder again that research is typically more balanced when authors take advantage of using a variety of sources. So lastly, just wrapping up, Zotero is a citation manager that will help you when referencing your sources both in text and in your bibliography. You cite your sources to avoid plagiarism, give credit to authors of work you used, and provide your readers with more information. There are links in the description for ZSR Zotero Guide, as well as our video tutorials and information on signing up for our live Zotero workshops. Please take advantage of those because Zotero really is a game changer when managing and organizing your searches. Also, stop by ZSR's game night. The library will be closed, but the entire atrium will be used for board games, various gaming. Friday, September 9th, 7 to 9. Hope to see you there. And finally, the major takeaways from the session, just wrapping up here. But most importantly, if you need any help with your research in any capacity, please schedule a session with me. The link is in the description, or you can use the QR code here. And if you don't have it by the time you see this video, I will be delivering some ZSR swag, some stickers to your professor. You can always stop by ZSR to get some more. Thank you so much.